The narrow confines of Long Beach left many drivers watching from the shore instead of wading into the action. Opening up the boundaries, Donington Park will hopefully offer fewer things to hit, but will still pose a very technical challenge. Who will be able to master this historic track? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 3 of the iRacing Kamel GT series, and you'll see it all live here on the global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Donington Park has gone through many iterations in its history, so why don't we hop on down to our track guide to learn more about it. Welcome to Donington Park. This British track can boast the rare feat of hosting Grand Prix racing since before the advent of the modern F1 Championship. About a half hour northeast of Birmingham, cars and bikes of many types have competed here. There are 2 layouts that can be driven: the Grand Prix version, which is roughly 2.5 miles, or the National Circuit, which is just under 2 miles. The only difference between them is the addition of the Melbourne and Goddard's hairpins at the end of the lap. This circuit is known for its fast, sweeping bends and difficulty in overtaking. There's also some extremely tricky blind apexes like at McLean's and Coppice. Ironically, one of the most famous and more difficult high-speed turns is called the Old Hairpin. Resembling nothing of its name, it includes a frustrating kinked entry and a very critical corner exit that leads to a long piece of uphill acceleration. The first turn of Redgate is a popular place for overtakes, but it carries an unusual danger. The pit exit empties right into the racing line, and if stops are expected during the race, it can prompt some treacherous exchanges. While the circuit is most well known for its extremely wet 1993 European Grand Prix, where Ayrton Senna blitzed the field for a win, currently the track is mainly used for lower-level open-wheelers and touring car racing. Overwhelmingly popular with British fans, Donington Park has established itself as a pivotal circuit in the UK racing scene. I have to admit, this is one of my more favorite tracks, and unfortunately, though, it doesn't seem the Kamel series, Adam, quite comes here as often.
No, it's a circuit not often visited by the Kamel series, but the Donington Park circuit is a 2.5 mile or 4.02 kilometer 12-turn menace of a track. This Grand Prix circuit features a narrow racing surface, lots of elevation change, and some deceptively tricky and fast corners. The Nissans will be most at home here with their high downforce, with the only real struggles being power delivery out of McLean's and Coppice, as well as the 2 hairpins ending the lap. The Audis, on the other hand, will struggle all day here. The sharp 90-degree turns that the Audi is best at are nowhere to be found at Donington, so it's understeer city for the GTO. Multiclass will be primarily on the GTPs to carefully gauge where to pass the white-knuckled Audi drivers, as the Audis will need every inch of the track to survive, much less be quick. And with long fields of grass and concrete barriers as your only refuge off-track, patience will be key. Danger zones are pretty much everywhere, and the best places to pass for both classes will be into Redgate, into the S's, Melbourne, and Goddard's. This circuit is always a challenge, Joe, and I'm expecting no less with the split we have today.
Yes, I think traffic will be a big talking point as things go on. But between those 2 classes, why don't we take a glance at the prototype points while we've got the opportunity. Fabian Gerber up at the top, even though he has not won both races. And in fact, Nick Schneider, he is up 6 positions with his podium last week. He's kept consistency on his side. And look at this, 3rd place tied between 3 different drivers. Cy Andra having a bit of a miserable day back at Long Beach, and that's why you see him down in 3rd, along with Campbell and Hall. Tobias Gerber in 4th with Nick Lucanos rounding out your top 5. Let's now take a look at the Audi Championship.
Now, the Audi Championship being led by Yuko Leskala. Joni Kajanen had a bad day at Long Beach as well, so he's 16 points back and now tied for 2nd with Esko Letaniemi. And then we have Roman Pawlowski there in the 3rd position. He's currently hanging out there 18 points back of the lead, just 2 points back of our 2nd place drivers, with Niels Kor in that 4th position and Maxime de Thomason in 5th. But, I mean, already after 2 races, Yuko's got a huge lead, Joe.
And we were just talking before we came live about how it seems like he needs someone to challenge him. But let's take a look at the challenge for all of the drivers out on the track. We are round 3 out of 12. It is a 40-minute race today, so it's their sprint format. It's open setup. Drivers will be trying to tweak some of the understeer out of the Audis and try and get the Nissans handling as quick as they can through those corners. They have no fast repair, though, so if they do find themselves getting damaged by slamming into those walls or hitting other cars, they will have to stop into that very awkward pit lane entry. And you can see that they had some ways that they could get disqualified, unfortunately, if they have too many off tracks or incidents. Right now in the qualifying, we still have nobody with a time in. And we see Ardo Iamaki is one of the first coming around as he is through Melbourne up to Goddard's. The back-to-back hairpins that finish off the lap going to be extremely difficult for these Nissans and all the power that they wield. As he gets a little bit of wheel spin, Ardo's going to cross the line, and let's see what the time is. A 1:15.7, so that's our first marker.
Yeah, 1:15.7 is going to be a huge disparity between that and the Audis out here. Here comes Phil Lake, just having switched over to the GTP this season from the Audi GTO. He's had struggled to find his pace. He's currently running mid-pack, but as he continues to improve, we look forward to seeing him up towards the front of the pack once again as he exits the final corner. Let's see what kind of a time he can put in as we see more times getting put on the board, a 1:15.578. And it looks like that's going to be, wow, provisional pole for Phil Lake. A great lap.
Wow. He's a 10th ahead of Ardo Iamaki currently, so Ardo has time to respond. And now Andra sets a big line in the sand. He is 2.5 tenths ahead of anybody else. So Andra, now your pole sitter, and Fabian Gerber not able to respond. He finds himself P3.
All right, so here's Yuko Leskola coming around. Goddard's, he's going to put in his first time lap. Our quickest driver by far in the Audis in the past couple of races. What kind of a time can he put in? That's a 1:25.297. That's going to be easily onto provisional pole, 4 tenths of a second ahead of Joni Kajanen.
Wow. I saw Kajanen cross first, and he was up in front for only a second or two before Leskola finds himself leading the way once again. We're still waiting on about 3 of our GTOs to put a time in: Pavlowski, Letaniemi, and Mantivara. Right now.
Yeah, Joe, that's interesting because Pavlowski and Letaniemi are tied for that second position, so they need to put those times in there to be competitive this round.
And Phil Lake is getting ready to respond. Iamaki could not go to the pole. Phil Lake goes quicker, the 1:15.5, but it does not put him on the top spot. He is half a tenth shy of the front row.
I'm keeping my eyes right now on Fabian Gerber as he's coming around the hairpins as well because he's currently only in 4th position. He set the pole in the last 2 rounds, so he's going to be looking to do that once again. Here's Escaleta Nambi trying to set his first time of the day. His first lap did not count, so this time it'll be very important. A 1:25.894 for Esco puts him into 5th, right behind Joni Kajanen.
Just to note that Fabian Gerber did go on the front row, and he was about a tenth off of Andra. This is going to be a real interesting fight between that pair, as they are both thirsty for a championship. Kajanen off of the final corner, down to 4th now. His second lap is quicker by 7 tenths, and that's going to put him back up to pole. Leskola, who goes faster, is not able to one-up Kajanen, so Joni is now our pole sitter.
It looks like Joni has risen to the call to challenge Yuko Leskola. This will be very interesting as we get further into the race. We'll see whether or not Joni's race pace, can compete with Yuko's.
Waiting for Roman Pavlowski to put his first time down as well. Here's Jamie Hall, who has yet to set a time. So the number 8 waiting quite a while, but he should be able to get across with both laps, I'm pretty sure. Let's see what this first one holds for him. 1:16.3, certainly not going to be pole, and certainly not going to be a competitive time. My goodness, he's down in 11th with that.
Now, if that was his second lap, then he's got to be concerned, but if it was his first, he still has another lap to complete, and that would allow him to get the tires more up to temperature. Here's Escaleta Nambi coming around for his second lap, a 1:25.895 to beat for him to get improved time, but it looks like it's going to be a slow one, about a good 3 seconds slower, Joe.
Yeah, something must have happened out there. So we've gone to Pavlowski now, tries to steer it into Goddard's. Quite a bit of a crest there. You don't realize until you're in the car. And as he crosses the line, his first time going to be a 25.7. He's got just enough time to maybe make the next lap. He's going to have to really hustle, but that'll put him in 5th.
And that puts him ahead of Escalante-Niemi, who he's currently fighting for as a tiebreaker in the championship. So it's a good qualifying time for him. Here's Yuko Leskala just doing a couple more laps, but here's the guy we got to look at. Jamie Hall needs to improve on his time, currently 11th place. His teammate Phil Lake up there in 4th position, so he's got some room for improvement here. 1:16.3 was his last lap. He's looking at 1:15.3s for pole position. He crosses the line of 1:16 flat. That's going to put him up and around 9th place. So Jamie not having a great qualifying effort today, unfortunately.
Yeah, not sure what's going on with Hall. Usually we expect to see him right up with Phil Lake in these, as we now are waiting to see if Pawlowski can cross the line in time. They do not get time to complete a hot lap in this style of qualifying. They only get the 2 laps, and they have to put it within the 8-minute time limit in this qualifying session. So Pawlowski around Melbourne, less than 20 seconds. Yeah, I don't think he's going to make it. I think this is going to be too short.
Ooh, man, it's going to be real tight, but I think I'm with you, Joe. I don't think we're going to get it. 5 seconds as he exits the corner. Start-finish line straight coming up. Oh, I think he got it.
He did. Wow, with tenths to spare. A 25.4 will actually bump him up to 4th place onto the 2nd row for Pawlowski. So let's go through our starting order now that it's finally settled. Sai Andra starts on the pole with Fabian Gerber in P2 and Ardo Iamaki behind the pair of them. He'll be flanked by Phil Lake with Matthias Hovdal starting from P5. Nick Schneider, our 3rd place finisher last round, will be starting from 6th today, and Sean Campbell will be in 7th. Then it's Tobias Gerber. The other Gerber brother starts in P8. He'll have Jamie Hall behind him in 9th and Rob Olenek rounding out your top 10. Only one more row with Nick Mukanos in 11th and Martin Krajcik in 12th.
A 10-second delta between the Audis and the Nissans. Joni Kaishin's going to start off on pole today with Yuko Leskala starting off in 2nd place. A little bit of a surprise there from those two. Alex Gall's going to start off on the 2nd row next to Roman Pawlowski. Then we have Miguel Castro starting off in 5th, a great qualifying for him, with Escalante-Niemi starting off in 6th position. Reed Miller, not a great qualifying for him, all the way down in 7th position today, lining up next to Niels Kor in 8th. Yuri Giesen is going to start off in 9th position with Ben Laughter in 10th. Then we have Maxime De Thomason, Dominic Bureau, and Ian Haycox, your last qualifiers. And then Lori Mativara lined up, and he's going to be in the 14th position, rounding out your 26 cars in this split.
And we just barely eked by the split here on the service, so it's fascinating to see how this will play out with the best of the best trying to face off here in round 3. Sai Andra now follows the pace car. Also going to be a bit of an awkward start too, since that pace car is going to duck off, and you were talking about trying to get the power down in these things. They're coming right off of that hairpin.
Absolutely. It's going to be a real challenge for those GTPs to get going. The GTOs will have a much easier time of it as they continue to wait on the line. Yoni Kaishin finally pulling them away at about a 10-second delta. So I think Yoni's trying to avoid being in the middle of a hairpin when they get going. But here we go, getting ready to start. The GTPs coming around the final corner.
All lining up, a few of them weaving to try and get some temperature in the tires because it's only 80 degrees Fahrenheit on the track surface. So it is slightly cool, although not terribly so, but it'll take them a bit to get them up to the working temperatures. Pace car is in, green flag is out, and Sai Andra was caught napping because Fabian Gerber is off and away around the outside as they come up to Redgate. He's going to be able to take the lead away into the first corner. He does behind them. A little bit of side by side, but otherwise it is clean. Let's go to the Audis.
Yoni Kaishin got a great jump on Yuko Leskala as they were going through one of the hairpins as they went through Goddard's, though. It looks like Yuko's made a little bit of ground back up. That's Alex Gall still in 3rd position. Roman Pawlowski in 4th, and it's side by side behind them for the 5th position between Esko Letaniemi and Miguel Castro. Looks like Letaniemi's on the inside there. He might be able to take the position.
Plunging down through the craner, curves into the old hairpin. Haven't seen much of a change up at the front of the prototype since we've been watching this. Tobias Gerber did have a little bit of an off and lost a number of positions through that old hairpin, which we see our GTOs plunge through now. Joni Kaisunen leads Yuko by about half a second, and we have a side-by-side between Arto Iamaki and Phil Lake. He sneaks onto the podium with an impressive move.
Yeah, but that's bottled up everyone behind him, and now Jamie Hall trying to make a move on Sean Campbell in the background. Look at how jumbled up they are, and we have a car going off. I believe that was, I can't figure out who it was. I believe it was Tobias Gerber who possibly went off there. Jamie Hall just now recovering. It's very tense back here for the GTPs, but this is how quick the lap goes by.
Boy, frustrating stuff for Tobias. Multiple offs on this first lap, but already an 0.8 of a second lead for Gerber over Andra, as a little bit of a duck to the inside there by Jamie Hall trying to look on Sean Campbell. Doesn't quite work out. Let's jump back to our GTOs, where Kaisunen continues to lead. Leskala trying to chase him down, and as they exit the final hairpin, it looks like that stretched them apart a little bit, because Alex Gall was under threat from Pavlowski before.
Absolutely, Alex Gall looks like he's got a little bit too much understeer in that thing on these low-speed corners, so it's going to be hard for him to get off of Goddard's with any sort of speed. That's going to be the real challenge for him as we keep going here. But yeah, Roman Pavlowski doing a great job. Matthias Hobdahl just had an off into the gravel trap on the exit of Coppice, so he's fallen back to 11th position in the GTPs now.
And in the background, as we watched off the back, you might have noticed that Lettinieri just suddenly slowed. I think he missed a shift, and that's put him in the thick of a fight with Niels Kor to his outside. And Yuri Geisen also looking to try and take advantage, manages to bang doors as he comes up over McLean's. Doesn't quite pay off. He's going to have to work harder into Coppice to complete the pass. Kor trying to use that four-wheel drive around the outside to good effect, but it's just not going to work. That'll give Giesen 7th place.
Oh, but here comes Ben Laughter. He's going to try and split the 3 wide possibly. Look at him tucked up right in behind Yuri Giesen. They're going to go side by side once more as they go through the S's. Tight stuff there between Niels Kor and Yuri Giesen. Great racing between these two. Here they come to the first of the hairpins. Niels is looking like he's going to back off, but he's just trying to set up better for the corner. Here they go through. Oh my goodness, it's so tight there as we ride on board with Ben Laughter. Niels Kor goes a little bit wide. Ben Laughter is going to try and take the position away. He's going to go around the outside on Goddard's.
Tooth and nail for what is the mid-pack position. These guys do not want to give anything up, and Kor is going to defend from Laughter. He'll stay put in 8th. Couldn't quite get it back from Giesen. Not for lack of trying, however. So you mentioned the very quick lap around here. It makes me wonder when we're going to see these GTPs catch the back of our GTOs.
It's going to be in about 3 to 4 laps time with the 10-second delta between the guys, and Fabian Gerber only 33 seconds behind this battle that we were just watching on screen. Fabian Gerber only has a couple of laps of freedom before he catches up to these guys, and we know how much Cy Andra can cut through the field. But we're going to jump to the GTO lead here because Joni Kaisunen still only about 4/10 up ahead of Yuko Leskala.
Don't need to go to it, but I can tell you that Phil Lake had a spin. He's lost his 3rd place and is down to 8th. Meanwhile, on board with Leskala, taking a little bit of a look down into the S's, decides better of it, follows through as Kaisunen leads the way. That slowed them up a little bit, though. Alex Gall is starting to approach. He's down to half a second behind our top pair.
Yeah, if Alex could figure out how to get through these hairpins efficiently, he's going to be right up on the back of these guys. If he can just ride right behind Yuko Leskala until Yuko decides to make that pass on Joni Kaisunen and then possibly take advantage. We're riding on board with Yuko right now as he's trying to challenge Joni Kaisunen. You can see just how efficient he is out of Goddard's. He's got that thing turning extremely well at those low speeds.
Ducking it down to the apex. Much more of a late apex there for Kaisunen. Really trying to square it off, and that has paid dividends, keeping himself safe. We got to jump away, though, because Cy Andra is still right on the back of Fabian Gerber and trying his darndest to see if he can reclaim this top spot. He's got to be kicking himself.
I mean, he's got to be kicking himself for the whole season that's been so far. He's had 2 tough races so far, and he knows that he's definitely capable of winning a race, but Fabian Gerber has proven to be a real challenge for him so far, and so frankly has his qualifying been. So this being his best qualifying position, he's going to want to capitalize on that. Don't expect him to let off of Fabian Gerber this race at all.
Oh boy, bet he's hoping that the win at Le Mans was not a false dawn. and that he really can take the fight to Fabian Gerber. Now, this will all change as soon as they catch that traffic, which I think might be coming up in about a lap and a half here. They enter Coppice. Andra back to 0.8 of a second, but the good news for them, no threat from behind. Ardo Iamaki's a whole 5 seconds back there.
I'm sorry, but Escola Timieri just took a big swing at Reed Miller coming into the first hairpin. This was a very intense moment. Let's take a look at this.
This is, as Martin Brundle likes to say, ambition over adhesion. Whoa! Well, he did a good job of keeping it from going any farther, but and also a very good heads up from Reed Miller to see that happening, give him enough space and just slip on by.
Absolutely. It's definitely one of those moments where you think you have more grip than you do heading into the hairpin. It's a slight downhill, so you have a tendency to lock up the fronts, and that's exactly what happened to Esco there.
Let's head back to fourth in the prototypes. Nick Schneider is currently leading Sean Campbell. Now, this is a driver who I want to say is relatively new-ish to this series, but he's really shown himself to be a force to be reckoned with, running in a top 5 in the top split today. Oh, and we got to duck away from that now, because it looks like something happened with Gerber, or Andra just found immense pace.
Andra's pace has been increasing over the last lap, and now they're catching up to the lap traffic, and we know just how good Sai is about handling traffic when he's in the lead. How is he going to handle it when he's in second? The Audis are not that spread out. We haven't had that long of the race. It's less than 10 minutes into this race, so this is going to be a real challenge for these GTPs to figure out how to get through here, especially here at the hairpins, where the GTOs actually have better exit speed. Here we go.
The place that Gerber probably wanted to catch things. Oh, very nicely done by Montevaro, who just pulls out of the way. Oh, what some wheel spin from Sai Andra. He's getting eager. He thought maybe there's something in this, but unfortunately may have scuppered some of his chances. They're coming up to a battle. Roman Pawlowski and Ian Haycox just in front of them. Pawlowski going to be able to get by, I think, here. Maybe that'll settle it.
Possibly, but I think Haycox was trying to do the over-under. He's not going to be able to, and here comes Fabian Gerber. Fabian's going to sweep around the outside here. As long as they can do that before they hit the switchback, looks like that's going to be handled well. Sai Andra just slicing through them behind. He cuts right through, and he's trying to catch up onto the back of Fabian Gerber. Gets held up by Max Van de Thomason. Thomason has to take the apex. Fabian able to get through. This is going to be intense stuff for these GTP leaders.
This is that experience shining through that these pair have garnered after racing these things up against these Audis and having to deal with just making those split-second decisions, both of them narrowly getting through the inside out of Coppice. Gerber did lose a little bit. It's up to 0.4. As they break down in the S's, Ben Laughter just in front of him. Is this going to hold up Gerber a little bit? He'll have to duck to the inside. Andres closer than ever, down to 0.2 of a second. Not close enough to make an attack, though.
No, he's not. A little bit of contact there, side-by-side contact between Ben Laughter and Sai Andra. Hopefully that doesn't damage Sai's aerodynamics too much. They're so important around here at Donington, but he's still able to keep within half a second of Fabian Gerber as they exit Goddard's. It's still so close for the lead.
And let's not forget that Kaijin and Leskill are only split by 0.3, so when they get up to them, neither's really going to be all that interested in giving away too much time. There you see them heading through the old hairpin right now. They've left behind Alex Gall by a little bit. It's about 1.1 seconds down to third, so you get glances of him in the background, but obviously he's fallen away.
Yeah, it's going to be another lap before the GTP leaders catch up to this battle. And so we're going to hop back to those GTP leaders as Sai Andra is still trying to hold on to the back of Fabian Gerber. That's Reed Miller who they're going by. Reed Miller currently in the 5th position in the Audis. Mr. Consistency, I have to mention it again. He tends to end up there in 5th most races in the GTO field. So hopefully he's trying to improve that finishing position. But here we go with the GTPs. They're starting to catch up to the S's here. Oh, there might be a little bit of contact. There was almost contact between the GTO leaders there for a moment. Yuko Leskola outbraked himself a little bit into the first hairpin, much like we're seeing here. Look at that, Sayandra tucked in right behind.
Things were getting very tight both there in the GTO lead and in the prototypes, but we're looking at the GTOs, and it seems that Yoni's feeling a little bit under threat as he stayed defensive for a little bit longer down into Redgate, but eventually comes to the racing line. In the background, you're going to see our GTP leaders quickly approaching.
There's still about 5 seconds back of our leader right now. And wow, this is intense stuff as both leads are so close together. This first moment where the GTPs start to get past is probably going to help define this as Cy takes a big swath of the grass there, is able to hang on to it, didn't apply too much power and spin out. But here we go, looking on back of Gall as he looks at Fabian Gerber and Cy closing up behind him.
This might be good timing. You talked about how this portion is probably better. Whoa, Cy Hashtag send it, and it worked. He's going to be able to get a good chance down into the S's. He's going to look to the outside as Gerber stays defensive, coming up to the GTO leaders to try and lap them. It's all kicking off now. Another good exit from Cy. Once again, having to go defensive and trying to overtake a GTO. There's a little peek to the inside from Cy, but can't quite get by the multiple-time champion.
And there's that GTO launch off the corner. You saw how much faster Alex Gall was able to push it.
Oh,
no, contact! That's Yuko and Fabian Gerber.
And we saw this at the end of last season. Gerber just found himself the victim of multiple bad situations. He falls to fourth from that contact.
And this was Yuko trying to do the swap over. He thought Fabian was going to take the inside of the corner, ends up out breaking himself, and that's major contact to the rear end of Fabian Gerber there. That's going to be affecting his straight line speed for sure with that rear end damage.
This opens the door wide open for Cy as he's got 4 seconds over Artur Iamaki now. And Gerber does seem to be struggling slightly. He had Nick Mukanis close behind him. Maybe he's finally getting his legs under him now that he knows what the car can do.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of time to get those tires back cooled down. And also, he is going to be down on straight line speed, so that is something he's going to have to play with. Cy now 4 seconds up ahead of Artur Iamaki, who's in second place. Then it's this battle. Actually, the battle for second is what we're looking at right now between Schneider, Campbell, and then Fabian Gerber tucked in behind. So this is all right now 4-second position. Fabian trying to catch up to the back of these guys while they're held up behind each other.
Schneider maybe thinking, hey, another podium could be in the cards here if I can just keep with it. As Iamaki gets promoted to second, also promoted to second with Alex Gall because of Leskala's incident. He fell down to third position and is trying to chase back up to see if he can get in the fight. Meanwhile, these trio, Iamaki, Schneider, Campbell, second, third, fourth, respectively, and being held up big time.
And that's why our leader, Joni Kaisinen, in the GTOs, they're going to have to figure out their way by. Yoni's got to be sweating right now because, wow, they all snake through. That was perfect timing to make sure that Yoni didn't lose too much time. And there's Fabian Gerber as he's going to try and make it through, but he's being chased by Nick McConnell and Phil Lake as well. Oh, he gets held up a little bit.
Everybody once again, and 3 in a line goes by our leader. And no change of position amongst them. Oh, but Sean Campbell had a little bit of a look on Nick Schneider. There you see him down to the inside into Coppice. Couldn't get it done. Still challenging. And he is looking like he's got great top end speed as he starts to close in. Weaves to the left side. Coming up to the S's deep on the brakes. Is he too deep or has he got it? Oh, that could have been a cut course. He's going to defend. Looks like it wasn't, but the fight carries on as Nick Schneider now tries to pay him back down into the hairpin. Send it in and hard on the brakes as they come off, both of them squirming under power, trying to get the throttle down.
Absolutely amazing racing. Oh, Sean Campbell, a little bit too much rear brake bias. Ends up losing the back end just a little bit into Goddard's, but he's going to be able to hang on to it and keep that position over Nick Schneider. Nick, though, look at the power he's got. He's going to go to the outside as they head into Redgate. He's going to try and outbrake him into Redgate as they go side by side through the first corner. Woo! Sean Campbell, washing out just a little bit, is able to get the overlap on Nick Schneider, but is Nick going to try and come back at him, Joe?
It took about 5 corners for Campbell to get that one done. All this did, though, is it slowed them up enough that Fabian Gerber is spying a few positions as well. They come up to McLean's 4 in a line, with Campbell now holding the podium position.
Absolutely, and Phil Lake has made the jump over ahead of Nick McConnell, who just made another mistake, and now he's side by side with Rob Olnick, I believe, in the background. But here we go with yeah, and there it is. Jamie Hall actually made the pass on Nick McConnell. Nick, just unfortunately a little bit mistake prone today, has made a couple of mistakes that have cost him positions as he's going to try and challenge into the S's. No, he thinks better of it.
Yeah, Hall now up to 7th.
Oh, Phil Lake's making a move on Fabian Gerber right now.
Ooh. So Fabian Gerber finding things going from bad to worse, and Phil successfully takes 5th away. I think Gerber might be limping yet again. Oh, and Schneider makes a mistake ahead of Phil too. Nick Schneider, who's fallen to 4th, could be clinging just to a top 5 here in a moment as we ride on the gearbox of the number 11.
I think with Phil's pace, he's possibly looking at getting up to possibly 3rd position if he can improve his pace just a little bit and close that gap to Sean Campbell ahead. But Nick Schneider, yeah, I think Phil has possibly a podium on his hands if he can just keep this race clean. They're definitely taking a couple of off tracks on the exit of that corner. I'm a little concerned about the incident limit for these guys if they start getting in too much of intense battles here.
Let's keep the cameras here, but I can report that Reed Miller was sick of 5th place and managed to get by Miguel Castro into P4 this last lap. As we come down Starkey straight up towards the S's, Campbell seems to have the legs. He's pulling away from this pair. Nick Schneider dealing with immense pressure from Phil Lake. Let's see if the Dirty Torque driver can manage to get an overtake. We're just about halfway through the race.
Closing in there, 23 minutes have gone by so far. Phil Lake currently in the 5th position, trying to close in on Nicholas Schneider. Cy Andra leads in the lead of the GTPs after an incident. Ooh, Rob Olenek looks like he's spun in the first hairpin.
Yeah, and this was all his own doing. Just sent it in a little bit hot. Ooh, it was extremely close. If we get an onboard with Tobias Gerber after this shot here, it's going to be just threading the needle. Look at that. Woo!
He's trying to trail brake just a little bit through that corner, ends up with a little bit too much rearward brake bias, ends up locking up that inside right rear. So here we go, riding on board with Tobias as he's going to try and thread this needle and not quite make it.
Actually touch it.
Yeah,
there it is.
Just a little bit of clip damage on that left side.
So as we come back live, yeah,
you can see it just a little bit.
Oh, there it is right there. Poor Tobias. And what's going on with Schneider and Lake here? Looks like a little bit of an attempt from Phil. Didn't quite make it. Still applying plenty of pressure. Schneider comes out of Melbourne, up towards Goddard's. Up ahead of them, you catch glances of Sean Campbell, who's actually put his attention up towards Art Yamaki, about 1.1 seconds, and I think he is closing, so that could be a battle soon enough. But right now, this is the closer one between P4 and P5. We're on board looking over the shoulder of Phil Lake.
One of the most interesting things about the Kamel GT series, and really any multi-class series, is the fact that if you're having trouble passing a guy, you get to wait for an opportunity to pass him when you catch up to the slower class or the faster class catches you. Because at that point, your patience will be rewarded because everything will stack up a little bit. And if you set it up right, you can make a pretty easy pass if you think that the guy ahead of you isn't gauging the gap to the slower class or the faster class, respectively, in the proper way. So Phil Lake might be waiting for that opportunity, but Nicholas Schneider definitely is, and he's trying to put the pressure on Sean Campbell, and Sean is catching up to Ardo Yamaki, so this might be a four-way fight for second before long.
That'll be fascinating to see. And I think we're going to get traffic within another 2 laps once again, because Cy Andra is approaching the tail end of our GTO field. Ooh, another look to the inside, and he's going to send it in deep. Schneider's going to give him space. Could he square it off here? Get the power down better? No, he's a little too greedy. The tail wagging as he accelerates away. So that makes a clean pass for the number 3.
Absolutely. So a great pass for Phil Lake. He definitely took advantage of the fact that Nicholas Schneider was not expecting that to happen. We're going to take a look at Matthias Hovdahl and Tobias Gerber right now. They're side by side as they go into Goddard's. Matthias trying to make the move into Melbourne, couldn't quite get the job done, and now Tobias is going to take it back as they exit Goddard's.
Now this is an unusual race for Matthias Hovdahl, down to 10th now. Oh, but he's going to come back at him. That guy loves to have very little wing in it, and it's going to give him plenty of opportunities to fight back. But it looks like he's struggling on the throttle. Tobias Gerber, with the overlap disappearing, slots into the line down to the old hairpin, and Hovdahl denies him.
I mean, you can see just how loose Hovdahl is as he comes down that hill. It's awesome. I love watching him race because he manages to hang on to that thing like nothing else.
And I was about to say that Hofdahl not having a great day. He started in 5th. He's down in 9th. He was in 10th briefly there along the front stretch as Tobias Gerber thought he had gained a position, but it was not to be.
Well, one of the cool things, Joe, is that every single one of these GTP drivers at one point has been in the top 3 over the course of these seasons. So the problems we're seeing with drivers, and it looks like Kratrik's in the pits. We'll have to take a look at that, but the thing that's going on with these guys is just unfortunate events, bad luck, maybe a bad qualifying position, or just getting caught out with traffic. But all of these guys are capable of winning a race here.
Oh, so what happened with Krajcik was there was a battle behind him between Letaniemi and Laughter. They outbraked themselves and got into the back of the GTP instead. That's usually a reverse of what you'd expect in this series.
Yeah, we've seen it once today already with Yuko. So Yuko Leskola currently in 3rd position. He had been lapping faster than the 2 gentlemen ahead of him, but now he had a 128 versus the other driver's 125s. So Yuko struggling right now to try and get up to the back. And I think with 18 minutes to go and a 7.5-second gap up to Alex Gall, that win is slipping away.
Worth pointing out that if Kajanen does manage to win this, it'll be the first driver other than Leskola to win, because he took back-to-back in the first 2 races. Leskola still looking to try and keep a 3rd at least to get consistent points. As we take a look at our leader in the prototypes, just going by some of our lap traffic in the GTOs. Iamaki is about 4 seconds back from the side, so he's sitting pretty. But Ardo Iamaki now has Campbell 0.8 of a second back. That is 0.3 closer than when we last looked.
Absolutely, and these guys are starting to deal with the GTO traffic as well, so that's where the struggle is going to start to come from. The GTOs are quite a bit more spread out now, and while you may think that that's an advantage, you're definitely going to have to be gauging where you catch these GTOs. We're looking at Ardo Iamaki catching Roman Pavlovsky at a pretty decent spot here, but Sean Campbell, who might be caught out here, and he's going to try and make the pass. He makes it by. Nice work from Sean Campbell. He's right on the back of Ardo as they catch up to Dominic Barreau, 10th place in the GTOs.
Both watching this and Jamie Hall on the back of Nick Schneider. Hall, who we were criticizing for what seemed an unusual qualifying position, has worked his way up to 6 and might have a top 5. There you see him on screen. Hall is the yellow and chrome car. Blue and white is Nick Schneider, and Hall is very good on the brakes.
Yeah, Hall doing a great job to try and keep up there with Nick Schneider. Nick Schneider doing a great job today to try and set himself into a great position. We were talking about him earlier, and he's doing a great job this race, hanging out in the 5th. And now Jamie Hall, you can see just how much faster the GTOs are with their 4-wheel drive off of the corners. And we'll see it here as they go through Goddard's. Man, he's stuck on the outside. Jamie Hall just really struggling right now, and he's losing a ton of time. That's Fabian Gerber catching up to the back of him.
That did not work out in his favor. So he's got to regain all of that, and then Gerber just got held up by Pavlowski. So that spreads apart that little fight in the mid-pack of our GTOs. Let's head to second place, though, because Campbell's still about 7/10 back.
Not anymore. Nice two-wide battle between Yuri Giesen and Niels Kor, and now Sean Campbell's going to look up the inside of Koppes. Oh, it's going to be tense. Here comes Phil Lake looking in on this. This is 5 cars in a very short portion of the track. Phil Lake has to back out of it. That was very close there between these drivers. Sean Campbell now looking for an opportunity to get by Yuri Giesen as they go into the S's. Ardo Iamaki has the ideal line. Sean Campbell's going to be held up a little bit. Phil Lake also held up behind Yuri Giesen.
Oh my goodness. And Campbell even got on the radio there apologizing to Phil. He didn't mean to squeeze him off. And yeah, I didn't see anything untoward there. It's just the situation kind of merited him trying to take the safe route, and poor Phil had to be the one to back out of it. Whoa, it's a slide. Yuri Giesen somehow catches it with a 4-wheel drift. Oh, he almost loses it again, but this time the position's going to go away as Niels Kor manages to get it into 6 with that. Jamie Hall watching both of those cars almost lose control, praying that they stay pointed forward.
Yuri Giesen, Niels Kor, Esko Letaniemi in that 3-way battle. Esko with some pretty decent damage to the left front of his machine on the GTOs. Wow, look at Fabian Gerber trying to cut through. He knows he's lost some time. He wants to try and make that up, but Niels Kor in a bad position for him. Nick McConnell's also trying to get by Esko Letaniemi in the background, but Fabian able to cut through.
goodness. I don't know how everybody managed to keep the cars clean and all of that. So many scary situations amongst them. Is a little bit of a look from Geeson seeing if he could attack Core, but unfortunately Mukanos appeared to his side and he couldn't take advantage of it. Oh, was that a misshift though? Suddenly Core is very slow.
Oh, and now Geeson with a good opportunity into the SS is not going to be able to do anything, but Amaze can try and send a lunge up the inside of Melbourne. No, he's too far back. He possibly has a little bit of a misshift opportunity coming out there. Oh man, these GTOs in the back are really struggling to get off these corners now.
See, I say they should take this series to the Donington more often. They almost never give us a boring race here. Down into Goddard's. Core ahead of Geeson, ahead of Letaniemi and Laughter. That is 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Still going hard at it with 13 minutes to go.
Very intense battle there for those positions, with Niels Core being in 6th all the way down to 9th and Ben Laughter. We're going to take a look at the battle between Sean Campbell and Phil Lake, though, because now Ardo Iamaki getting held up by Yuko Leskala up ahead. That's 3rd position in the GTOs. So this battle for 2nd place in the GTPs not going anywhere, and Phil Lake closing on Sean Campbell on pace. So this will make things very interesting. They all should get by before they go through the S's. We're riding on board with Phil.
Leskala staying off to the right side, letting them all through. Phil gets compromised on his line, but he squeaks by. So that'll split them to about half a second once again. Still trying to sort out who is the best of the rest today. As Andra, ever since he re-inherited the lead, has not been threatened by any of these three. In fact, we have to
a lockup from Phil Lake into Goddard's there, but fortunately he was able to hold on to it and stay within striking distance of Campbell.
I have to remind our audience who are just joining us that Andra may have qualified on the pole and is sitting on the top spot right now, but he got jumped at the beginning and saw his rival go on by, Fabian Gerber. Unfortunately, Fabian got tangled in a little bit of traffic management and got punted from behind. There you see Sai still continuing to weave in and out of our GTOs.
Yeah, that was our leader, Yoni Kaijin, and they just was able to sneak by. So those two working well together. There's Yoni, and Yoni's going to get caught up here by the battle for 2nd place in the GTPs fairly shortly. Sean Campbell and Ardo Iamaki still separated by about a second, 1.2 seconds at this point. But the GTPs are catching them at probably the worst place, into Melbourne and Goddard's. 2 hairpins where the GTOs definitely have a lot more speed.
I think Campbell's been getting the bad end of the stick on traffic because he's still got Phil Lake right behind him. Through the hairpin, Yoni Kaijin and Ardo Iamaki kind of slowing each other up now. But he's going to have to do the same to the next two.
And you see how the GTPs actually have to stay to the middle of the track there when the GTOs are tucked in behind them, because the GTOs have so much more exit speed. But now Campbell's going to be able to get by Yoni, and Phil Lake's actually going to be the one who's stuck out unless he tries to duck to the inside, which he's going to do. Yoni Kaishinen is going to get a good exit here. A little bit of sketch between the two of them, but Phil Lake's able to make it through.
And did, yeah, wow. If you want an impressive pass, Ben Laughter somehow managed to get by Letaniemi. In fact, it was, you could say it was a little bit rude here. Let's pull the replay up on this one.
Well, every once in a while you have to take a lunge, and Ben Laughter took a lunge.
He's just stretching those calves out. That's what he's doing. So
and Esco had to park it, literally stop, in order to miss Ben Laughter. So Ben apologizing a little bit on the radio, but I mean, he already committed to the move. There's nothing else he can do.
Oh, let's go back to Phil Lake. Lake's pulling the exact same move, coming up the inside of Campbell into the same corner. And it looks like he's going to get it done, maybe. Campbell's coming back at him. He's got the inside into Goddard's. No, he decides to give it up.
All right, move Phil Lake up to 3rd position. That's that podium I was talking about. And on raw pace, I think Phil's faster than Ardo. He can jump up to 2nd here with only 10 minutes to go. And they have regular GTO traffic at this point to deal with. And they also might have Martin Kraytrig, who just came out of the pits. So Phil Lake's got an opportunity here to get that 2nd position. This will be his best finish of the season, I believe.
Didn't Phil have a spin on the first lap, too?
He did, yes.
And he's only 5 seconds behind Andra, which is incredible. At first I thought, well, you know, he's just taking advantage of all the craziness happening. No, he's had good pace. He is caught up most of the time that he lost.
Absolutely. It's been an amazing race. We're going to take a look at P5, though. This is between Jamie Hall and Nick Schneider. These two are inseparable today, Joe.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. Remember, it was Schneider and his teammate before, Lake. So now he's got the other Dirty Torque driver just behind him. In fact, Hall already threatening, trying to show his nose, see if he can shake that number 11 off the racing line, but that one didn't work. Have to do better than that.
Yeah, you gotta maintain your car's center of gravity as you head through the S's. So that little juke that he did actually ended up loading up the right tires a little bit too much, made it too difficult for him to make a lunge. He takes a look once again at Nicholas Schneider, makes Nicholas cover it off a little bit. This might compromise Nicholas on the exit a tiny bit, and it does. So Jamie Hall able to cut down that gap once again, just from that little fake out.
Not sure if it was just the camera angle, but that onboard made it look like he was right underneath the rear wing, almost touching Nick Schneider. Falls back slightly as they come through, and it looks like we've got a battle between Geeson and Laughter. So Laughter making that pass on Letiemi, maybe it was a little bit forced, but he's jumped away from him quite a bit and is already looking at another spot. So I guess he knew he had to do something.
Absolutely, it was a decisive move. He had to get by. He made it work. Now he's up a second from Letiemi, who's falling back of these guys. And now Geeson and Laughter are catching up to Nils Core once again up ahead. So Ben Laughter, after having a poor start to this race, is really starting to make moves and move forward here. Very interesting race for a lot of these drivers. The ones who fell back early are making progress, and the ones who were doing well early have been falling back a little bit, Joe.
And just a side note, I want to say that I think Yuri's paint scheme this season is perhaps one of my favorite of recent times.
I love it.
A little bit of a botched corner through the old hairpin for Ben Laughter. He's going to lose a little bit of time on him as they've got Martin Krajcik, our last driver in the GTPs, now approaching.
So with 7 minutes to go, everyone's sizing themselves up right now, trying to figure out, can I make any more positions? Is it worth pushing at this time in the race? And I think the answer for everybody has got to be yes to that question, because here at Donington, anything can happen. The track is so narrow through the downhill portion of the track, and then when we get up here to the S's and to the hairpins, everything just gets so bottled up together. You really do tend to see more incidents than we've seen today. So compliments to all the drivers who are out there right now. They've been able to keep it as clean and as fair as they have been able to. Everyone giving and taking as much as they need to here.
So I'm looking back at Phil Lake, by the way. And remember I said it was about 5.5 seconds up to Cy Andre? He's got it down to 4.5 already. Now, I think he's too far back to actually challenge for a win. But I am just stunned at how quick he is today and the determination that he has showed. He's got it down to 0.7 up to Ardo Iamaki. I think a second place is very feasible.
A second place is feasible. A first place actually might not be off the cards. Cy Andre has a little bit of front end damage that might be affecting his top line speed, and Cy has not been navigating through the traffic as well. As you can see right there, Phil Lake on Cy Andre. It's been swapping ever so closely, but look at that. An average of somewhere around half a second a lap between Phil and Cy. So a win is not out of the cards yet.
Yeah, you're right. It's already down to 3.8 seconds between
Oh,
Lake
here we
and
go. Ardo
Andra.
got held up. Here goes Phil.
It's up to McLean's. He's going to try for the over-under. He just can't quite get the power down soon enough. But still, he's got the slipstream on one of the few long straights that we've got coming out of Coppice. Can he do something into the S's, or is he going to wait till the hairpins? He's closing in. He takes a little bit of a look. Yamaki defends. He knows he's under threat here in these final 5 minutes. He takes an awkward line through there, and seeing the weakness, Phil Lake pounces on it. He's going to make mincemeat out of the Finn here coming into the hairpin, and Melbourne seals the deal.
And Jamie Hall just had a massive wreck. He was battling with Nicholas Schneider side by side through the S's, got a little bit of turbo spin, and is now wrecked out with major left side damage. We're going to see the replay right now.
Oh, made contact with both Schneider and a huge hit from De Thomason.
He got pushed into the grass, and now they're side by side through the S's. This gets a little bit too much on the throttle, ends up spinning that thing into the side of Schneider, and then Thomason takes a big whack.
Maxime, unfortunately, was just the wrong place at the wrong time. Had no place to go in that. Things are not over between Lake and Yamaki. Oh, and now they might be, because Ardo just had a little bit of an off coming out of the old hairpin, putting 2 wheels into the dirt, couldn't get the throttle down. So while he had hopes of maybe trying to get back up to P2, they're slipping away. Currently between Lake and Andra, 3.2 seconds. Let's see, what's the difference between the last lap? 18.7 for Lake, Andra 18.2. So I think that battling that Phil experienced maybe slowed him up a little.
Oh, and he's really slowed up through the S's as he's stuck behind Dominic Bureau. That's going to give an opportunity to Ardo Iamaki here. Is Ardo going to try something here into Melbourne? No, he is!
Oh, yes, he is!
He's going to set it up the inside!
Oh, I think Lake managed to see him coming off the corner. He's going to get the throttle down just a little bit better. And Iamaki with another look and another lunge. He thinks he can get this one back. He's desperate. Go! Unfortunately, a little bit of netcode contact between the pair of them through Goddard's, and this slowed them up so much. Here comes Sean Campbell.
I don't think that Phil's going to be very happy about that one. I think now the race is on for second position. These guys are just going to be holding each other to the line now. I think Sciantra's probably got this race in the can because Phil Lake's going to be focused on one thing, getting past Ardo Iamaki.
The grit and determination of Iamaki to come back at that and try to get that position twice in a row on 2 hairpins with a late lunge and managing to pull it off. That has my respect. He gets on that. Whoa! Phil Lake also trying his darndest to get the car to accelerate. Oh, he's struggling now. The tires look a little overheated. He cuts off Sean Campbell in the process. Campbell has to back out.
Phil Lake is probably thinking to himself that Campbell's not part of this picture at all. He's going to be putting the pressure on Iamaki. Iamaki held up through the S's. So was Phil Lake. Sean Campbell with an opportunity. He's going to look to the inside of Phil Lake. Is he going to try and send it up the corner? No, it's going to be 3-1 as they go into Melbourne. So close. Sean Campbell's going to try and take the opportunity. Contact between. Ardo Iamaki spins. It's all going off.
Iamaki could have run away with this one with all that fighting, and unfortunately, he threw it away instead. Phil Lake up to second, Campbell up to third. Iamaki falls to P5 as Nick Schneider also got through. And Phil Lake finally settles into P2. Now, did he get any damage from that contact?
I mean, I assume so. The question is how much is that going to affect his top line speed? But nice getting hold up. He makes contact with Yuri Giesen, and here goes Sean Campbell. Contact between them. Sean Campbell's off the track. Phil Lake still going, but Sean Campbell spinning. He held it off the racing line, but oh my goodness.
Oh, wow. Campbell trying to get the car turned around by going backwards for a long ways. In fact, he's still going backwards. He's driving this lap backwards. What in the world is Sean Campbell doing? There he goes.
It's not the last lap yet.
No.
We're closing in on that. I think that was Sciantra crossing the line this time for the last lap, but Sean Campbell decided to do a little bit of a 007 move there.
Guess who is in third place out of all this? Nick Schneider once again gets onto the podium.
Of course he is.
Great job to the number 11 to take advantage of everybody else playing way too hard with one another today as we get the white flag for Sciantra coming out.
Sciantra.
Did Fabian Gerber just have something happen?
Well, I mean, Fabian's been battling with Nick Bakanos and now Ardo Iamaki for the last lap. So there's the white flag for Sciantra as he goes through Red Gate. This battle between Nick Bakanos and Fabian Gerber is not over. These two guys with pretty significant damage.
Phil Lake's in the pits.
What?
Oh, you know what? Drive-through penalty. Too many incidents.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Nick Schneider up to second. Ardo's going to hold third.
Ardo gets back into third because of Sean Campbell having his error.
Maybe, Joe, because look at this. Nick Bakanos cuzzling up to the back of Ardo Iamaki. Here's that battle between Yuri Giesen and Nils Kor. They're going to go battle side by side again. Almost contact between Yuri Giesen and Nick Bakanos. Here goes Nick Bakanos. He's going to try to make the move up the inside. He can't do so. Nils Kor's going to block him off. This might give the opportunity to Ardo Iamaki on this white flag lap to run away with it, and I think it will.
And that's Fabian Gerber back there, suddenly trying to get into the mix. We've only got a couple corners left for our leader, and I'm pretty sure that half the positions in our GTP are undecided, but this one practically is. How it went from 3 seconds up to now a 10-second lead. Andre's going to be confused until he goes back and watches the replay, but I don't think he cares about the confusion. He is glad for another win here today at Donington Park.
Oh, and Phil Lake just got sent off in Melbourne now by Escoletaniemi.
Nick Schneider is going to be able to claim second. Ardo Iamaki does keep third place. Joni Kaisinen still has a ways to go in all this. Mukanos cruises across to 6th. Now, did he give that to Fabian Gerber? What happened there? I'm not sure why, but Mukanos slowed suddenly at the very end.
And we're going to have to take a look at the results when we come back from our break, because things are very much swapping over here. But there's Joni Kaisinen coming through the S's. He's going to be trying to close off this race after the chaos that's happened in the GTPs. He's thankful it hasn't happened in the GTOs. Only 2.5 seconds over Alex Gall right now, but Joni Kaisinen looking to take possibly his first win here in the GTOs this season.
And can we tip the hat to Alex Gall, the Frenchman, proving that you can keep up with these fast Finns. I guess you just have to come from a country that starts with an F, as Joni Kaisinen wins here for round 3 in the Kamel GT Series. Gall following him home at Leskala, unfortunately making a critical error to deny himself the hat trick. So we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Take a breath, but stick around because we've got the official results as well as driver interviews coming your way. Welcome back to Donington Park. It was an incredible race in the prototypes here for round 3 of the Kamel GT series, kept keeping us guessing all the way until the checkered flag. But Cy Andra, despite damage, limped it home ahead of everybody else who couldn't seem to help themselves running into one another. And Andra, taking the win, finished about 8 seconds ahead of Nick Schneider, who was P2 after starting 6th. Ardo Iamaki looked like he had thrown away a podium until suddenly everybody else crashed in front of him after his own error. He comes away with a 3rd, and Fabian Gerber, who unfortunately was the victim of one of the GTOs getting into the back of him, led part of the start of the race and then fell backwards. He climbed up to 4th, also keeping the thing a little bit safer than everybody else. Nick Mukanos, how about this? 11th to 5th. He's second to last in his class to a top 5. Sean Campbell was 6th place. Unfortunately, a little bit mad at himself for what was a mistake trying to get P3 away from Phil Lake. Matthias Hovdahl, who fell down the order, went right back up it and wound up in 7th. Phil Lake, after having to take a penalty even, still got 8th place today, and Jamie Hall, his teammate, was right behind him with a huge wreck, costing him finishing just inside the top 10. And Tobias Gerber was 10th place, ahead of Rob Olenek, another driver with a big wreck today. Martin Krejcik rounds out your field of prototypes one lap down.
Yoni Kaijin goes pole to victory, but not without conflict. Alex Gall keeping pace with him for most of the race and keeping pace with Jukka Leskala as well. Jukka Leskala, though, having that incident with Fabian Gerber, sending him off track, getting all the way down to 5th and making his way up to 3rd once again. Reed Miller, starting off in 7th position, is able to climb his way pretty cleanly up to 4th position, one of the few drivers who did not have contact today with many people. Miguel Castro comes home in 5th today, ahead of Yuri Giesen. Now, if you want to talk about a battle, Yuri Giesen, Ben Lafter, Nils Kor, and Escoleta Niemi, those guys all having very intense battles, absolutely. Esco coming home in 8th position. But man, what a battle for those GTOs. Then we have Dominic Bureau finishing in the 10th position with Roman Pavlovsky in 11th. Ian Haycock's 12th. Maxime Thomason comes home in 13th. And then Lori Montanivara did not finish the race, but did start. Finishes 19 laps down. Now, Joe, I know that I said that we see a lot more contact than we saw with 7 minutes to go, but I'm betting that our next interviewee will be regretting that I said that at all.
Yeah, we've got Phil Lake here with us, and he finished in 8th today. And I don't mean to rub salt in the wounds, Phil, but were you aware that you were actually faster than the leader through much of the race?
Yeah, I could see I was catching Sai. I made a silly mistake at the last hairpin early on in the race, so I'd blown my chance really early on, so it was just a recovery drive, and then I ended up pretty much back where I started after that spin, so it's just one of those days.
It seemed like things were, I mean, maybe this is commentator's curse. We were heaping praise on how incredible of a comeback drive it was, because we thought that the win seriously was on the cards with about 5 laps to go and the way that you were gaining on Sai. What happened from there, though? I mean, describe it from your perspective.
Yeah, I finally got past Arto, and then I was sort of trying to focus ahead, and I just got a little bit unlucky with some Audis. Nothing that they did wrong, but just bad timing. And Arto had a chance, which he took into the first hairpin, which was all good. And then the second hairpin, he tried again, and I think he just was a little bit too late on the brakes. He couldn't quite hold it on the apex. I had a quick look at it in the replay. It looked to me like his car was kind of not really pointing in the right direction when we made contact. So I'm not sure how in control he felt at the time, but so there was that contact, and then I kind of got in a scrap with Sean, and it just turned into complete chaos in the last 3 laps. I ended up with a drive through for too many incidents. So not a great start to the season so far.
I think those 2 words probably sum up those last laps as good as any. Complete chaos. But so unfortunately, tossing away what could have been a little bit of a better finish, but you got much of the season still to go. How are you feeling with still the final 9 races?
I'm pretty relaxed about it. Coming over from the Audi, I knew I wasn't going to be in the championship straight away. So even if I don't finish 10 out of the 12 rounds, as long as my pace is improving, and it seemed like I had good pace today, so that's a good sign. Just need to work on eliminating the mistakes and being consistent, and then next season we'll be hopefully in the championship.
Well, that was Phil Lake, our 8th place finisher here today, with what looked like an incredible drive momentarily. And while he was gritting his teeth moving forward, we've got Adam, who's caught up with Sai Andra, who was sweating bullets instead.
Yeah, Sai, a fantastic win today, but towards the end of the race, it looks like your pace fell off. Was that damage that caused that pace drop off, or were you just being a little bit conservative towards the end there?
I think a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I wasn't sure if I had damage. I think I had a couple of touches with a few GTLs, but honestly, I was scared of my car by the end of the race. The setup just got so loose that I was babying it through the chicanes every single lap. And yeah, I was definitely worrying that if I had to battle somebody, I would definitely lose out.
Well, talk to me about that moment before the 10-minute mark that you had through Goddard's with Fabian Gerber, Yuko Leskala, and Joni Kaisunen, where you guys all kind of got tangled up, and Fabian ended up going off. What were your thoughts as you had exited Goddard's there?
First, I was astounded I didn't loop the car, and with how aero dependent these Nissans are, spins at low speeds are very, very, very hard to catch. And I was honestly surprised Yuko did that. He's a very good driver. I think he just got caught out by us because of how slow the Nissans are through there. And honestly, nothing he could do.
Absolutely. And was there something you could do at the start, or did Fabian Gerber just catch you out there?
I think I wasn't expecting the green as early as I did, and I didn't have the revs up. So I just in that pit of turbo lag, just waiting for the the big single turbo to spool up, and Fabian just got the jump on me.
Well, on a day where navigating all of the chaos the best, you came out in the top position, winning this race. Sai, is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Just thanks to the team. Thanks for VRS for sponsoring us. Thanks for Ellis Engineering as well. And my teammate Alex is also did well this race, so thank him.
Yeah, good second place for Alex as well. But thanks for talking to us, Si, and we look forward to seeing you next round.
Thank you.
And next up is a driver who had a pretty storied race himself in the GTOs. Ben Laughter is talking with Joe Peak.
Yeah, Ben, it seems like you had quite a few adventures along the way that nets you a 7th place. I mean, overall, how do you feel about this race and your performance?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. First off, the 4 guys that I was just nose to tail with the whole race, amazing, awesome driving. I feel like I had a 5th place car, 6th place car, but just never could get the stars to align. And I've got to real quickly wash Esco's blood off my hands. Sorry about that, Esco. We had 2 incidents in the hairpin, and I went back and looked at them. Both my fault. So awesome racing all around, though.
Now, do you count one of your passes as one of those? Because we saw that incredible dive that you made to get by into the Melbourne hairpin. I mean, talk us through that.
Use the word dive, which explains the blood that I'm referring to. I mean, I think I had pace on Esco. I think I was a little bit faster than him. And you know how crew chief from time to time will tell you it's time to get around this guy. And man, I took that literally. And I decided to show my nose offline and messed up my braking marker. And what might have looked like an awesome pass was me completely out of control and Esco managing to stay off me.
Well, so you had a chance to be like, yeah, I meant to do that. But we were kind of wowed by you managing to make that one stick. Next round, we are heading to Suzuka. And that is going to be incredibly technical, especially compared to this place. I mean, what are your feelings over in Japan?
I have had some of the best races in Camel at Suzuka, including the one, hey, Rob, remember that time you took me out of the lead on the last lap? That was awesome. That's an old joke with me and Rob. And then also I recall a race with Ove there where he and I were just nose to tail fighting for a top 3 position for the entire race. And I love Suzuka. It's great for this car, great for these cars. So very much looking forward to that track.
Well, we look forward to seeing how you fare there. And that was Ben Laughter, who took 7th place in the GTO class today, which is going to wrap us up with a big thank you to the Kamel GT community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. Also, we want to thank the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast. You can see them listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how I get a hold of her, more of her great work. And then thanks to the team today, Adam, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including our upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or there's information at our social media, which includes Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, make sure and check out our merchandise store. It's simply gsrc.storeenvy.com. We got a link in the description below if you don't want to type that in. As we mentioned, the next race heading over to Suzuka for Saturday, January 9th. That'll be noon Eastern for round 4. And we have upcoming races for other series listed on your screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar, including a little bit later tonight, the South Sound Speedway E-Series has its 2nd non-championship race. the 87 Cup cars will be racing at Charlotte. It'll be a night of classics. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.